we're really running out of time, but and I want to give a chance. We're going to run over a little bit, Jillian, if that's okay. And I just wanted to give a quick chance for you to maybe give us really quickly one example of one country where ABS has been a successful financing tool. If there isn't any, that's okay, no problem. But just real quickly, and then we're just gonna we'll do five, maybe two or three questions from the audience. Okay.
Well, that's a very good question, but I think it's important also to know why. You know, why? You can mention Costa Rica, for example. You can mention Brazil. You can mention Colombia. You can mention the Philippines. You can mention many countries, but why? You know, I would say perhaps, you know, Costa Rica in many ways has been very successful. But why? Because they have invested on the demand side of the ABS equation. They have a national access and beneficiary policies, but they also, you know, have raised the, you know, the political, if you will, profile of genetic resources by developing national policies on science and technology that show the potential of genetic resources, and also, and that's on the policy side, but also on the finance side, on the financing side, you know, they have allocated certain resources, you know, that may be used as subsidies to finance research and development of certain industries that use genetic resources. And it's an ongoing process, you know. They can still, you know, develop certain financial tools that can be used, you know, to finance research and development that leads to the development of products, you know, for the pharmaceutical industry, for botanicals, for cosmetics, for biotechnology, for crop protection, so on and so forth. And yesterday, for example, you know, we participated in this session about the green bonds, which can also be, you know, a financial instrument to stimulate the development of research and development for each of these industries. So in a nutshell, you know, you need these two issues side by side. Good policies that elevate, you know, increase the potential of genetic resources at the highest level. And also, you know, on the finance side, you need the subsidies, loans, green bonds, and other financial instruments, including grants. For example, with grants, with the Global Environmental Facility, they have been financing projects on ABS that facilitate and promote the development of ABS products. And this is something that we can discuss later on a bilateral basis. But in a nutshell, that's the response to your question.
Thank you, Santiago. Thanks for keeping it short. Okay, we have time for two, maybe three questions from the audience. So now's your chance. I know you really want your coffee. The faster you ask a question, the faster we'll be able to go have coffee. So, and there's 3 mics out here. 1, 2, 3. So please come right up to the microphone. Antonio, come up to the microphone. First to get there gets to ask the first question.
And introduce yourself.
Please introduce yourself. Thank you, Joe.
Hello, I'm Luis Zin, a French researcher in support to the European Commission. One of my main questions is that neoclassical economics is about having a discount rate that is positive, and somehow we value more the present than the future. So my question is, if we value more the present than the future, when you talk about risk and when you see how your colleagues have changed the way of framing investments, do you think that you bankers, they think more in the future than in the present regarding the discount rate and integration of risk in your strategies?
Thank you. Was that a question for Marcos, maybe? Yeah?
Well, this gives me a leeway to tell a little bit about something we've been working on that I mentioned yesterday in a session you were also in. But let's say you're a company, right? You're in the soda industry. You're issuing a 10-year bond, right? And which is relatively far into the future, right? Soda industry issuing a 10-year bond somewhere in Mexico. Wouldn't you, as an investor, like to know if that company is going to have a water scarcity issue, right? So we are starting to think in how to integrate these longer-term risks into the investments. And if you look at pension funds, they need to be thinking about people retiring, I don't know, 20 years from now. They are looking in the long term. I would argue, though, that climate change is not about the long-term future. The last year, the Earth, this one of my professors said, the last year the Earth as a whole had a temperature lower than the previous 100 years. Do you know what you guys were doing? You were listening like a virgin from Madonna, and you were looking back to the future from Christopher Lloyd, the first one. It was in 1986. So climate change is a reality now. We don't need to look into the future. Nevertheless, I mean, pension funds are looking into the future 20 years from now, and we are developing these kind of tools to try to assess those risks way into the future.
Okay, thank you. I think we'll go to, we've lost all of our questioners? Oh, they're there, okay. Go ahead, Tonio saying. Please introduce yourself. And
I'm Luana from Ministry of the Environment of Brazil. At the Brazilian case, we have a lot of huge companies that invest a lot on biodiversity, and some of them really do a good job. So they have environmental management systems, but they do only represent 5 to 10% of all Brazilian companies. So the other 90 to 95% are small and medium companies. So my question is how to engage these small and medium companies to do investments on biodiversity, especially when they do not have, that they are not directly related. So how can we engage them? How can we get them on board on this process?
I think we can relate a bit to Brazil, because in Seychelles we have a Seychelles sustainable label for tourism, whereby hotels are certified. It's a bit like a green certification scheme. And like you've rightly said, the amount of hotels so far certified or interest is quite low. But I think the best thing out of this is to get started. And as is the case most of the time, well, in our case, that is in a small country, often others will want to see one, achieving or going about these activities to see the benefits. And we at government level also, we facilitate entry of the smaller establishments, the smaller businesses with different kinds of subsidies. For example, the label covers energy issues, waste management issues, water. So in these areas also there are already facilitations in terms of tax subsidies, tax exemptions for smaller companies wanting to go for that. And we have also many project portfolios targeting these small businesses and corporations to get them going. And sometimes also they will partner with the larger ones also. So it's a bit complicated, like you said, to get them involved. But the most important thing is to have a few examples whereby it is you have some very good examples to replicate or upscale. I think that's the most important thing. But you're not alone. This is my message in reference to the subject.
Thank you, Anna. Marcus wanted to add something.
I think it's also about, when we were talking earlier about creating the right incentives, it's try to, right now many certifications are an extra cost. So if you go organic on the supermarket, it's an extra cost. But if we can create the proper resharing facilities, guarantee funds for the financial institutions to, in collaboration with the development banks, to provide credit at a cheaper rate for companies that have these characteristics, then you start to steer the market in this direction. It's a lot also about communication. We failed, and this is just a small failure story, we failed hugely in an intent to promote this for a sort of credit we were building up to promote energy efficiency. We invited 35,000 SMEs to a to a symposium. Less than 30 came. From 35,000, less than 30 came. And the ones that came all sold solar panels, more or less, or some green tech. So it's a lot about educating the market as well.
A quick response on that. In the area of genetic resources, I think something that has been very useful for us is to provide pilots, examples, clear examples. I mentioned, for example, on the financial side, you can use grants. For example, those of the Global Environmental Facility, which at this point have been very useful, for us, for UNDP. In Colombia, for example, we use one of those grants to engage a private local company, a domestic company. And this company managed to find that the liquid of a fruit that is found in the rainforest of Colombia could be changed biochemically to produce a liquid that can be used for the pharmaceutical and the food industry. The procedure was patented, and the company is starting to sell, this product in the US and in Europe, and is generating economic benefits. So pilots use grants, from global environmental facilities or from other financial organizations that can be useful.
Okay, thank you. And last question, Tonya, thanks for waiting.
Correcto, gracias. Sí, es una muy buena pregunta. En mi presentación hice el énfasis, sobre todo en el sector farmacéutico, a nivel de las grandes empresas farmacéuticas. La experiencia de ellas es que desde los años 90, cuando tratan de invertir en procesos de desarrollo e investigación, por ejemplo a nivel de plantas, asociadas con conocimiento tradicional, los hallazgos han sido un poquito limitados, y entonces se han enfocado un poquito más en microorganismos que han encontrado, por ejemplo hongos y bacterias que han encontrado, que es donde se encuentran los compuestos activos necesarios para el desarrollo de productos, Ahora, particularmente para el caso de plantas, evidentemente el conocimiento tradicional está muy asociado a los usos. Ya hay empresas farmacéuticas que hay veces que se inspiran en eso, ¿no? Se inspiran en eso y como dije antes, encuentran que realmente el origen de ese compuesto activo son los microorganismos. Entonces por eso se están enfocando un poquito más en el tema de microorganismos. Ahora, ¿cómo hacer que ese conocimiento tradicional, que el aporte del conocimiento tradicional sea validado, ¿no?, por la compañía farmacéutica a nivel de una distribución de beneficios? Eso viene y es facilitado por las políticas nacionales de ABS que se formulen, ¿no?, en donde sean más receptivas, ¿no?, a las compañías que van, en donde no se vea ese miedo de la biopiratería, en donde se pueda negociar desde el comienzo, ¿no?, cómo se puede reflejar desde el punto de vista económico el aporte del conocimiento tradicional al desarrollo de ese producto final que se vende en los mercados, ¿no? Ahí es donde se puede ver eso un poquito más. Ahora, yo puse ese ejemplo nada más en el sector farmacéutico, porque es una tendencia. En otros sectores como el cosmético, el de botánicos, ¿no?, el de agricultura, el de protección de cultivos, puede que esas industrias enfaticen más el tema de conocimiento tradicional y estudien un poquito más los recursos genéticos inspirados, ¿no?, en el conocimiento tradicional. Entonces, ¿eso responde a tu pregunta? Sí.
Thank you very much. Well, I think we've run over, but it was a very interesting session. I would like to thank all my panelists for being up here. And thank you for listening and your suggestions. Big round of applause for the panel. Thank you very much.
Thank you.